Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country by far, has totally surrendered our southern border. His weakness and extremism have resulted in a border invasion like we have never seen before. Other countries have emptied out their prisons, insane asylums, and mental institutions and sent us drug dealers, human traffickers, and terrorists. Millions of people have poured into our country, and now, after nearly 4 years of his failed, weak leadership, pathetic leadership, crooked Joe Biden is pretending to finally do something about the border. But in fact, it's all about show because he knows we have a debate coming up in 3 weeks. The truth is that Joe Biden's executive order won't stop the invasion. It's weak and it's pathetic. It will actually make the invasion worse. Millions of people a year will continue to pour across our border and be released into our country. And we recently learned Biden is secretly granting mass amnesty to hundreds of thousands of these illegal aliens, along with welfare, government benefits, work permits, and jobs. He's not doing that, however, for our veterans. He's not doing that for our homeless. He's giving illegal aliens far more than our veterans get, far more than our homeless get. Many of the left are even pushing for illegal aliens to vote in our elections, which is what this is all about. That's why they're allowing up to 20 million people since he took office. When I was president, we built over 500 miles of border wall, stopped the flood of criminals, and we had the safest border in the history of our country. We need to secure our border once again. We need to secure our border once and for all. Crooked Joe will never get the job done. He doesn't want to get the job done.
What's going on, everyone? Talks Kenny here today. I want to give my analysis on Biden quietly terminating 350,000 asylum cases, effectively granting mass amnesty. Imagine what he'll do with 4 more years. Now, as you saw from the intro, Trump ripped him a new one and highlighted how much asylum seeking, how much people cross over the borders over his 4-year tenure. Biden gave a lot of excuses. Oh, I can't secure the border without congressman, without a bill. Give me a bill. I'll do it. I'll secure the border, right? And he all along he had the power to do it through executive order. He never chose to do it because end of the day, illegal immigrants being in this country benefits Democrats. And that is the reality. Democrats try to hide it in the comment section, try to say, oh, Kenny, you're making this stuff up. How the Democrats benefit from having illegals, immigrants who can't even vote in our elections? Well, I'm glad you asked, skeptical liberal. There's something called the census. You know, the census that dishes out electoral points based on population size. Well, sanctuary cities, which attract illegal immigrants are counted towards the consensus. So even though they can't vote, they give your vote more power, more weight. Look at the electoral points that California is able to give any president they decide to vote for. That's because of the population size that's counted in the census. That's why you have some Republicans in Congress saying, hey, it is unfair that we count people who can't vote into our census and they're allowed to sway they're allowed to give more political power to cities that choose to be open to them, aka sanctuary cities. This is the long term. This is how Democrats currently benefit politically for allowing illegals to be in their states. This is why that's why I said Democrats see these illegals as free votes. Oh my God, I'm gonna increase my seats. We're gonna have more House members in our Congress. That's why California is overrepresented in our Congress because of their electoral college, because of their population size. Because they have a bunch of sanctuary cities in that state. And this is the long-term play that the Democrats are having while they're waiting to give them path to citizenship. Dreamers, right? Because there's stats out there that show, I think, about 60%, maybe 51%, 55%, I think, of illegals look favorably on the Democratic Party. And especially the current crop of illegals that's coming through the border right now, we hear from Biden. Oh, no, we don't want Trump. And it's starting to fuel this idea that I have is that I literally think the people who run things, they really see us as slaves because that's how the American taxpayer is being treated in our own country. We're treated as slaves. Oh, you're going to work hard. You're going to pay taxes so that these illegals get welfare benefits, healthcare benefits. They get to stay at these swanky hotels in New York. New York's budget went to shortfall to the point where they had to make cuts. They're asking you, American citizens, who you paying property tax to shelter in illegal immigrants into your house. Make it make sense. But this is your guy Joe Biden. With records of numbers seeking asylum in the U.S., Biden's administration is increasingly just letting people go with no decision, meaning that they aren't granted asylum, but they're not deported either. They're just allowed to stay in America with no status. And you can't stay like that for long. You won't be able to make it in there for long. So what's the natural conclusion? Go for citizenship. Wait your 5 years, then apply for citizenship. But you got here illegally. And this is an argument I think that a lot of people on the left do not understand what the right is saying. The right is saying that asylum is not a human right. You don't have a right to someone else's country. Sorry, not sorry. Just like I don't have a right for you, I don't have a right to your money, I don't have a right to your attention, I don't have a right to your time. Illegals, immigrants do not have a right to someone's country. If a country say, hey, we don't want you to cross our borders illegally, stay your ass in Mexico and wait until we have vetted you, we see that we gain something from you as being part of our society, then we let you in. That is a country's right. But for some reason, the Democrats have this false idea that asylum is a human right when it's not. But I digress. I want to show this short clip, and then we'll go into more of why Biden's executive order is nothing more than just a political show, right? Like I said, Democrats are the party of look good, but don't actually do good. So let's check out this clip from a relevant clip, I think, speaks about the current moment in time that we have right now. Let's take a quick look.
Clearly, the people who run things see the rest of us as slaves. That's obvious to me. I can't imagine how it could be more obvious. It's crystal clear. They don't seek consensus. They're not interested in the public's opinion. The overlap between the list of things that people care about in this country and the list of things that Congress and the White House actually do, there's none. There's no overlap at all. And by the way, this is not my opinion. This is Gallup public opinion polling. Go look at the last 10 Gallup polls on what Americans care about and compare those to the policy priorities of your government. They're not the same. They don't care what you think. They're not interested in what you think. That's publicly available information. They're not reading it because they don't want to, because it doesn't matter to them. They're in charge, you're not. So the truth is, it's very hard to fight that. I'm not exactly sure how, but I know that it begins with the strength inside you. If you are weak, you will never prevail. And that explains their determined effort to make you weak by feeding you poisonous garbage, by trying to make you take medicine that is not at all medicine, by their insistence that you shut up and hate yourself, by their claim that your children are not your own. They have no interest in you having dignity. In fact, your dignity and strength is a threat to them. That's why they closed the gyms and kept the weed dispensaries open. That's why the churches were shut down.
True words have never been spoken. I think this is why the left focus so much on conditioning the Americans to be shameful of their history, of their lifestyle, of America excellence. When has America ever been great? It's always been great. Every country will never disparage their own country like that. Every country has a dark past, bad parts of it. Every country. Name me one country that's perfect. You can't name me one. But we hold America to some perfect standard. And that's the problem with the left. The only way they can judge America is by judging it towards perfection. And any country will fall against that standard. But the left thinks about that. They think, oh, utopia can exist. When in reality, no utopia can ever exist. Life is about trade-offs. And the fact that we're being conditioned, especially the white liberals, right? I already told you, white liberals have a negative bias against their own group of people. So isn't it no surprise that white liberals also are the most unpatriotic people in America? Yet they want to continue to vote in our system. Yet they want to still decide public policy, but they hate this place so much. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So let's get back to Biden, right? Because this video is about Biden. Biden signs weak executive order to address his border concerns after claiming he couldn't do it, right? Speaking at both sides out of his, you know what, right? And I think Trump's right on the intro. That's why I led with Trump's reaction to this, is because I think he's just doing this to show, like for a show, superficial reasons, just to look like he's doing something at the border. So when it's time for him to debate Trump in June, that's coming up very shortly, he has something to say. He could be like, oh, look, I passed an executive order to deal with the border crisis. But is it actually effective? Is it an actual effective solution? Biden doing this executive order is like me just answering the question. Oh, look, I finished the test. I finished the test. Look, I did the test. I did the test. But did you pass though? Right? And that's the nitty gritty that I think the left wing media is not going to allow Trump to actually get into nitty gritty, because you need to get into the nitty gritty. But like I said, politics is about sound bites. This is why long form content is going to take over in the future, because I believe people are going to realize, yo, I need to hear another opinion. I need to hear more diverse voices than what the curated mainstream media has put in front of me. President Joe Biden signed a weak executive order on Tuesday to address the border crisis he caused that has resulted in millions of illegal aliens overrunning the border over the last 3.5 years. Remember, 20 million illegals coming over. He has no incentive to stop it, right? This is what he said, remember? Remember
about
this?
the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal.
Why he shouldn't? He doesn't want to piss off his future voters. Joe Biden, good. Let our new voters flow through the border. Like, come on. Political game. So Biden signed an executive order that will temporarily shut down asylum requests once the average number of daily encounters tops 2,500 between the official ports of entry, NBC reported. This will not stop it. Like I said, the analogy I use for the border is like water. Hey, look, we got enough on our plate. We got enough water in this bucket. Let's close off the flow. No. Biden said, no. Let's just lower it a little bit. I'm like, yo, but it's still going to overflow. It's just going to take longer for it to happen. But the problem is not the buckets. It's the flow. We don't want to process more people. We want to stop it completely. Deal with the buckets that we already have in the water that we're already dealing with in the bucket. Once we deal with them, then when we're ready, okay, now we're ready. Once we air out the process. But this political football on the board is going to continue happening. Former Homeland Security Secretary Jet Johnson previously said that 1,000 apprehensions at the border a day was a bad number that overwhelmed the system. But now, in 2024, we changed the standards for a Democrat. Why am I not surprised? A former U.S. law enforcement official told the Daily Wire that the executive order was designed to do little more than generate headlines, and that Mexican drug cartels will simply send the migrants they are smuggling into the country to the official ports of entry to turn themselves in. The administration released a fact sheet that claimed that illegal aliens who entered the U.S. would be barred from receiving asylum. However, the fact sheet said that these actions are not permanent, aka I just want to look like I'm doing something and not actually doing something. America, we can't keep falling for this, bro. We can't keep falling for politicians pretending that they actually have solutions when all they're really doing is doing show work, right? Another conspiracy theory proven right, which is the asylum. How many people saying that, oh, Biden is secretly, quietly terminating asylum cases and then pretending, oh, look, we're processing them as fast as we can. Lie. Right? And then there's the above the law narrative that Biden has been pushing. It's laughable. There should be an ad. Trump, there should be a campaign ad where no one's above the law, as you show clips of what Biden was doing. In a headlines in just a few hours, Biden gave under-the-table amnesty to 350,000 illegals. Biden breaking immigration law to give work permits to illegals. No one's above the law. Put these facts out there. Fauci's agency scientists received $700 million in royalties during pandemic. Our government is actively transforming the electorate to win elections. I already told you how in the beginning of this video. I already told you how merely having the illegals in the blue states increases their congressional weight in the electoral college, while corrupt health bureaucrats are enriching themselves with hundreds of billions of dollars from the same company whose products they try to force on the public, except for illegals. The DC ruling class hates you with every fiber of their being, which led into my Tucker Carlson clip that I showed you. And Trump's right. He's just doing this for political reasons. He's just trying to look good. It's the same thing. No one's above the law. No one's above the law, illegals. No one's above the law, Joe Biden. Joe Biden campaign say it'll keep accepting dark money despite previous condemnation. Hypocrite. Biden said dark money erodes public trust in elections. Then his campaign took mysteriously $46 million from dark money donations. I want to look good. I want to say all the right things, but in my actions say something else. But this the guy has the goal to lecture us about threats to democracy. Biden campaign made a statement on CBS News that it reported on a massive $64 million anonymous donation that was sent to his campaign in 2020. The donation was routed to his campaign coffers through the Impetus Fund, a 501c4 tax-exempt organization that said it's focused on social welfare. Sounds like socialism. Don't know who's in charge of this thing. We don't know what's behind it. We don't know if it's China, Russia, all. But God forbid, look at Trump. Trump tried to start a business in Russia. There's massive multinational global organizations that have companies in Russia. Trump, when he was a businessman, happened to try to build a hotel there. All of a sudden, conflict of interest because he's running for president. Make it make sense. But Biden's getting anonymous dark money. Don't know where it's coming from. Sound like a money laundering scheme to me. But hey, my speculations. No one's above the law, because I'm going to keep hitting him with this. The Biden trials, right? The Hunter Biden trials, the opposite of Trump's. Because remember, Trump's 640 minutes of coverage. One-sided coverage about how he's going to get convicted, how he's going to get convicted. How much coverage you heard of this Hunter Biden trial? Crickets. You haven't heard nothing. Last week, Donald Trump, Biden's chief political opponent, was convicted. Biden's chief political opponent was convicted on 34 felony counts of murder. I mean, not murder. And Biden said that the justice system has worked. Any talk about the justice system not working was undermining our democracy, was undermining our institutions. No, y'all undermined it. Every day of the week, it's the boy who cried wolf, right? You keep saying the party that cried democracy. You keep crying about how it's undermining democracy when you yourself undermined it. Democrats undermined racism, hate crimes. You undermined the institutions because you have control over the institutions. And now that you have control over the institutions, you don't want it to be questioned at all. Typical communist. Once you get into power, now it has legitimacy. When you're not in there, it doesn't have legitimacy. You can only have an argument if you're a liberal. You can only be trusted if you're a liberal. How's it any different from communist? And liberals get mad when they get confused for progressives. In this modern age, if you're a liberal, you're a progressive. Sorry. That's just how it rolls today. And now Joe Biden's son Hunter is in the dock in Wilmington, Delaware, on federal gun charges because it turns out that he's pretty clearly lied on his gun registration for where he went to buy a gun. He clearly was a drug addict. He lied on his form about being a drug addict. All that circumstance culminated in a situation where his girlfriend, who at the time was his brother's widow, weird, apparently was so afraid of Hunter having a gun that she took it, drove it over to a local store, and tossed it into a trash which can be found near a school. And then y'all wonder why school shootings happen. Instead of blaming negligence of the parents, of the individual that bought the gun itself, no, y'all want to blame the gun. The Secret Service then tried to cover it up. As you can recall, this was looked into by Joe Biden's DOJ. There was whistleblowers who came forward alleging that the Biden DOJ had essentially hamstrung prosecutors from investigating Hunter Biden's involvement with his father Joe, and went out of their way to cut some sort of deal to close the tax case that was being investigated against Biden. Oh, so much different from Trump. Is mainstream media putting this out? Mainstream media like to sit here and pretend that they're objective. They're not. I told you, they're partisan actors. I already highlight the bias. That's what supports my position. That's what supports my take on this. That majority of journalists donate to the Democratic Party. Majority of journalists identify as liberal Democrats. Journalism is known as the most liberal profession. What incentive do they have to actually cover things down the middle? They don't. Their bias seep into their work, right? Just look at the coverage. I already told you the coverage. I already got it documented. 64 minutes of coverage towards the Donald Trump trials. How many minutes of coverage does the Hunter Biden trials have? None. But the leftist media sit here and complain, oh, we're losing traffic. Washington Post lost $77 million. NPR gets called out for political bias and then pretends, no, we're not politically biased. Political misinformation, disinformation experts heavily lean to the left. Every contrarian view that goes counter to their narrative somehow is misinformation. How convenient. And then years down the line, after they get you to do what they want, it comes out to find out that the misinformation was actually true information. It seems like the left and this is how they undermine institutions. Because right now the left has control over journalism. And what the left complaining about? People don't respect the experts. People don't trust news anymore. People don't respect journalism anymore. Why? Y'all control it. Y'all undermine it yourselves through your track record. And you wonder why majority of Americans see you as a threat to America. I'm going to keep putting this because repetition, right? I'm playing the same game because the left keep repeating lies and I'm going to keep repeating the contrarian view, which is the truth. The truth is it's more nuanced than what you're making it out to be, liberal. Just admit you're an opinion propagandist. This is why you're a propagandist. Journalism has become propagandist now. And they're mad that regular folks like me and you can sit down in our chair, talk into our microphone, give your opinion, and show some contrary. Look what the right is covering this story. Majority of news outlets are left wing. But then leftists are like, oh, I got my information from 3 different sources and no one's covering this. Oh, only Fox News? Fox, because Fox News is the only one willing to do it. If there's 6 sources, 5 out of the 6 sources are left wing, and someone says, hey, look at this contrary, look at this evidence here, look at this evidence here. They're only coming from one place that has an ideological, political incentive to call out the negatives of the other side. A liberal will sit here and pretend, no, I got my news from diverse sources. I got it from NSNBC, ABC, CBS, Axios, all lean left outlets. But then he's pretending that, no, I'm not in an echo chamber. It's baffling to me. But this is how power gets misused. And I legitimately believe that we are treated like slaves in this country, like tax slaves. We pay 100% of all the foreign aid packages, and everyone gets a benefit off of us. The politicians that pass these bills probably get kickbacks, get special deals. Who knows? Probably like Joe Biden when he fired the prosecutor in Ukraine. Still waiting for him to get held accountable for that. But no one's above the law, says Joe Biden, the biggest hypocrite of them all. A man that got away with the documents case, his own document case, for violating the documents case by his, I forgot who, the counsel saying that he's mentally unfit. He was not mentally aware enough to be tried for his crimes. But no one's above the law. Bill Clinton, I just did a video yesterday about how Bill Clinton is paid off someone he was in a sexual who was going to claim sexual harassment against him while he was president, which is political, right? He was paying her off to protect his political career and his political aspirations, right? Leftists, right? Why I ain't tried him for that years ago? But you wait until Trump do it, then y'all want to prosecute about it. Rules for thee, but not for me. No one's above the law unless you're a Democrat, unless you're illegal. That's the narrative that the left has been pushing. But hey, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. And I want to leave off this video with this clip that I found from Thomas Sowell. I hope you guys appreciate the video. I hope you guys like the video. I hope you guys subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys if you comment and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And I'll end off this video with this clip from Thomas Sowell. I hope you guys are doing well. See you guys on the next video. Peace.
Hope you're reaching people. So one sentence of advice to some sophomore or junior who's watching this today and thinks to himself, gee, Dr. Sowell just told me the America in which I'm going to grow up will be a shrunken place.
No. It's not over till it's over, as Yogi Berra said. And I would say to this young person, if we through some miracle get through this, please take to heart the lesson of what happens when you vote on the basis of rhetoric and symbolism and instead of using your mind. It doesn't matter how smart you are unless you stop and think.